another exciting edition of Point Blank, High Point University's premier talk show. Tonight, we have a truly special guest, one of the most influential leaders in education, business, and beyond. Dr. Nido Qubein, the president of High Point University, is a visionary hero who has transformed HPU into a nationally recognized model of innovation and success. Since taking the helm in 2005, he has led an extraordinary expansion, redefining the student experience, elevating academic excellence, and shaping HPU into the premier life skills university. Beyond his leadership at HPU, Dr. Qubein is a world-renowned entrepreneur, an award-winning speaker, and a philanthropist dedicated to helping others achieve success. His journey from arriving in America with just $50 to becoming a respected business leader is a testament to the power of hard work, resilience, and purpose. Tonight, our host, Jordan Bankston, sits down with Dr. Qubein to discuss leadership, success, and the future of HPU. You won't want to miss this, so stay tuned because Point Blank starts right now.
I'm your host, Jordan Bankston, and a special thanks to Jay Gutman for the amazing introduction. Without further ado, please welcome Dr. Nido R. Qubein.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Now, Dr. Qubein, every time I'm nervous, anytime I'm excited, I call my mom.
Okay.
So you can only imagine the phone call I had with her today. You grew up adoring your mother, growing up in the Middle East. Tell me about that.
Well, my father died when I was 6 years of age, and sometimes you find in life that out of adversity can emerge abundance. And so there was my mother, who was fourth grade educated, but she was a woman of determination and intense focus. She wanted her kids to be educated and do well in life. And so my mother was the single most influential person in my life. She was my hero, my model, my mentor.
And in an interview, you said that she had a fourth grade education with a postgraduate degree in uncommon sense.
Yes, an uncommon sense.
Uncommon
Common sense is easy, but uncommon sense that's the sort of a zone in and of itself.
Mm-hmm. So what does that mean when you said that she has a postgraduate degree in uncommon sense?
Yeah, that means she had an enormous amount of capacity to take that which is not so common, like judgment, good judgment, and a sense of awareness, to create relevance in who you are and what you do. So my mother would see things and would model for me things that you don't just see in commonplace life. And you don't realize at the time, when you're a kid, you don't really realize these things. They just sort of happen. But as you grow older and you become more aware and you have more experiences, you begin to identify and acknowledge the great value of those learnings. For example, my mother used to say to me, if you want to be great, you must first walk hand in hand and side by side with great people. I mean, think about what that means. That means if you want to be successful, place yourself in environments where you can be exposed to successful people. That means if you want to be happy, be sure that you are in a circle of influence where happiness is alive and well, right? And as simple as that sounds, it is a very important point, because you and I are the product of the spheres, the zones, the platforms where we choose to reside. So some people say, well, I can't succeed, and so that's because you're hanging around people who have not discovered the meaning of success or the process of achieving success. So these words didn't mean a whole lot, growing up. They were words, but as I reflected upon them in my life, they were exceptionally meaningful to me and impacted my life in ways that has truly contributed to a great wealth of knowledge and hopefully a source of wisdom.
The key to success is to surround yourself around people who are pushing you every day, who will want to be successful as well. How do you find yourself in those circles?
Well, you got to look for them. I mean, it's, good things in life don't just fall out of the sky. You gotta chase them. You gotta pursue them. You gotta want them. You gotta love them. You gotta pay your dues to get there, right? If you want to be a good basketball player, you gotta go there and practice. Michael Jordan would stay, when he played with the Bulls, he would be 30 minutes at the end of the day just shooting that little foul shot. And people say, what are you doing? He said, I'm practicing the foul shot, right? So he didn't become the greatest basketball player because of luck. He became a great basketball player because he paid his dues. He chased excellence. You may not be able to be perfect in life, but you can be excellent in life. So you gotta look for these opportunities. Something as simple as picking a university that you attend. Something that simple. You say, okay, do I just pick a university because it's pretty, because they have a good basketball team, because it's located in this place or that place? Or do you say, who do I want to be as a person? And what environment and what kind of people and what kind of input in my brain I must have so that I will achieve the goal of becoming that person? You see the difference? Yeah. One is highly focused on the outcomes, on the results, on the future view of achievement. One is just blow in my ear, I follow you anywhere.
So when you say pursue, that's actually a great word to describe your life because you have pursued the American dream to the full extent. Talk about your first business where you started off with just $500 to start a whole business.
Well, I came out of graduate school and I started my first business. I never worked for anybody. Never got a paycheck in my life. When you start your own business, if you take income and you have expenses, if your income exceeds your expenses, what's left you could take as profit. But there are times when you run a business where profit does not exist. That sometimes the business is more demanding and you have to invest. You have to go to the bank, take money out of your savings account and put it in the business. So I'd say $500 during graduate school. I was teaching classes and all that. And I began my first business. My office was in High Point, North Carolina, 101 West Green Drive. It was an office given to me by a friend, 6 months rent-free. It had a desk, a chair, and so on. And I wanted to start a mail order business, selling leadership materials by mail. Now put this in perspective. This was way back, the years you wouldn't remember. You'll have to read a lot of history to get there. This was in 1973. We had no computers in 1973. We had no iPhones. We had pay phones. You stood in line and you put the quarters to call somebody. And so everything had to be done by hand. And I couldn't type, but I type with 2 fingers. I still type with 2 fingers. I'll take you on. I don't care if you go like this. I go like this. I'll beat you every time. So I would rent. This is this interesting story. So I had to find my prospects, my customers, and which meant you have to type these labels to put on these brochures so you can mail it to people so people can like your product and buy them by mail. And no Amazon in those days. Nothing buying online.
Yep.
You just fill out the card, put it in the mail, and then the company would fulfill your order. And how do you get those names? Now you can rent names from name sources. I didn't have any money to do that. So I talked to a guy at North State Telephone Company on Main Street, High Point. His name was Bill Hilton. And I said, Mr. Hilton, can I come and borrow the yellow pages? Do you know what the yellow pages are?
I do not.
These are, you see, that's amazing. It's phone books.
Phone books.
So,
okay.
we didn't have, there was no Google.
Yeah.
You literally had a phone book about yay thick, had white pages, which were the people's home numbers, and it has yellow pages, which is listed all the organizations. So I talked Mr. Hilton that I would come at 5:01 in the afternoon after their office closed and borrow one city's yellow pages book off their shelf. They literally had them for most of the main cities in America. And I would take that book and I would type with 2 fingers these labels. And then by 8 a.m. the next morning, the book had to be returned back on the shelf.
Of course.
Now that, my friend, is called commitment. So most people make decisions, but they don't make commitments. You make a decision with your brain. You make a commitment with your heart. That's why commitments are longer lasting. That's why commitments are harder to break. I was committed to success. I was determined that I will do something to succeed. After all, I grew up poor. And when you grow up poor and you don't like the feeling and you want to overcome it, then you're willing to go the second and third mile to get there. So I worked 17 hours a day. The first 2 years, I lived with an old man. I paid him $15 a month, rented a room in his house. And some nights I would have, I love potatoes, so it's not a sacrifice. I'd buy these potatoes and boil them in a pot. And some nights I would buy frozen dinners. And some nights I would get peanuts in a shell, you know, and put them in the oven and had protein in them. That's all I could afford. So when someone says to me, you know, I want to succeed in life, I say, what are you willing to do to succeed in life? Because nobody owes you anything. You owe yourself the determination, the focus, the commitment to make something of your life. That's our message at High Point University. You can do your thing. You can achieve your goals. So that's what I did. And I would send those catalogs out, and people would buy stuff from us. And then I would have to fulfill the order. I didn't have any staff, you know. The order came back in, I'd go in, get the box, put the stuff in, ship it to them. Now, a year later, I could hire somebody, and eventually 5 years later, I sold the business. Because what people were doing, they were buying the material, they started asking me to go and speak. I did not anticipate that. And so I couldn't do the business and speak. I sold the business and went into the speaking business.
Dr. Nido Qubein, that was amazing. Thank you so much. Everybody get a round of applause. We are going to go to commercial break. But while we are in commercial break, we have these state-of-the-art point-blank T-shirts that me and you are going to pass out to people right here. So let's do it. We'll be right back, everybody.
Okay. You want me to give it to people I like? Or you want me to walk over there?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Well, can I have more T-shirts?
Of course.
Okay. Can I?
Welcome back to Point Blank. So, Dr. Qubein, you are a very prominent figure on campus, to the point where people in the audience, they want to ask you a few questions. So we're going to turn our attention to the audience real quick, let them ask you a question. Okay. You, right there.
Hello, Dr. Qubein. My name is Jamil Harris, and my question is, I think we all want to know, what is your favorite place to eat on campus?
I couldn't hear the question.
What is your favorite place to eat on campus?
On Mondays, I like Barbaritos. On Tuesday, I like Butterfly. On Wednesday, I like Aloe. On Thursday, I like the Steakhouse. On Friday, I like the Calf. On Saturday and Sunday, I like all of the above. And then the next Monday, in other words, I like them all. My favorite place on campus, gosh, If I'm doing a business meeting, I'd say aloe because it's elegant. It's, you know, I don't have to worry about how great it would be. Otherwise, probably the calf because I get to see the more students there.
Dr. Qubein, I gotta ask you too. What is your go-to at Aloe? What's your go-to?
What is my go-to?
Yes, sir.
Go-to.
As in, what meal do you get at Aloe? What's the
Oh,
meal
the
that you have to get when you go to Aloe?
Oh, I see. What do I like?
Yes.
Go to me means go to jail. So I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't
goodness,
know
no, I
it.
don't mean that.
Yeah, okay. Well, in aloe, they have a lot of stuff in aloe.
Of course.
I like their seafood. I like their, steak. Most I like the salad. They have a great Mediterranean salad. And then I love the sorbet that comes in the middle. And as far as I'm concerned, give me 6 of those. I'm good for the night.
We have one more question.
Hello, Dr. Qubein. I'm Nick Allen. I just wanted to ask, if someone were to create a museum exhibit about your life, what's one object or artifact that would have to be included and why?
What's an artifact in my life that would...
If someone were to create a museum exhibit about your life, what's one object or artifact that would have to be included in that museum and why?
It's a big question.
Yeah, I would say it would be a scale to represent balance. That life, that you have to be spiritually, mentally, socially, economically, physically, intellectually balanced. That the people that I found in life who only have success, those people could be a dime a dozen. But the people who have a sense of success and is balanced with a great degree of significance, that is to say their life matters because they impact other people, because they make a difference in the world, because whether they're there or not, something good happens because of them, something they thought, something they said, something they modeled. So to me, balance, I use that little bird on a little plastic thing to suggest balance is key. It's hard to be balanced because society and media and technology and our iPhones all tend to want to imbalance us. So that'll be the artifact I think I would care the most about.
Thank you.
Now, I also love an eagle. I collect eagles. So I like the eagle because of the strength, eagle because of the art of the possible, eagle because you soar. All of these mental images that create within you a desire to get up in the morning and attack the most difficult of tasks with faithful courage.
Thank you.
I want to touch on something that you said in that answer, making a difference in the world. Dr. Qubein, you've done so much in your life, but what is the number one thing where you said, I made a difference, either in that community, in that city, and that translated into the world, doing a better cause?
Well, there are a lot of answers to that question. It's a really good question. My first 2 years in America, when I went to college, I was poor, I was alone, I was scared, I was homesick. I didn't see my mother for 5 years. I came here on a one-way ticket. And my second year, it was a junior college I went to, and then I transferred to High Point College at the time. And as I was leaving, the president of the college said to me, there was a chasm between the money that you paid the school and the money that you owed the school, and my heart sank. I thought, oh, Lord have mercy. He's going to ask me for some cash over here. And he said, but you'll be glad to know that a doctor in a neighboring city picked up the tab for the difference. At that moment, a huge turning point happened in my life. Because when I said, who is that doctor, so I can express my gratitude to him or her for their generosity of their soul and the love in their heart, he said, that's what makes the story so amazing. This doctor wishes to remain anonymous. Now, what would you have done? I went back to my dorm room, knelt by the side of my bed, cried my eyes out. And on that day, I made a commitment to God Almighty that someday, somehow, I will do something to help someone go to college. And when I started my business, the very first year in my business, I took $500. We started a scholarship fund. It's called the Qubein Scholarship Fund. And we gave that money to a student from the city of High Point. Had to focus it, so we did it in High Point. Since then, 800 students received those scholarships. We have a dozen of them who are at High Point University. But a High Point student can get a scholarship and go to any college in North Carolina. We didn't put any means to it. Later, some of my friends, executives, helped me with the input, the influx of cash to make it work. And I can tell you that that was so meaningful to me because someone anonymous helped me do something in my life. And people say, do you keep up in touch with these students? Do you expect them to pay you back? Do you expect them to do something in return? And I say no. The Scottish theologian William Barclay once said, always give without remembering, always receive without forgetting. So the magic for of that to me is the willingness to help without asking anything in return. I'd say that's a paramount point of impact because think of Hyper University. You know what attracted me here is that we can plant seeds of greatness in the minds, hearts, and souls of our students. And since I've been president, this is my 21st year, we've graduated 35,000 students. Just imagine.
Yeah.
What are they going to do in the world? If only 10% of them do anything really powerful, we can move this world in a very powerful way. So for me, I don't care about legacy, I care about impact. Legacy is what people think about you. Impact is what people feel because of you. And the second has a higher order for living, doing, sharing, caring, and being.
Wow. Well, we're going to kick it to our second commercial break. Now, while we come back, we're going to have a pretty fun activity I think you're going to like, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. Point Blank will be right back. Welcome back to Point Blank, and this is our last segment with Dr. Nido Qubein. Now, Dr. Qubein, word on the street is that you're a good speaker, I think, something like that, I don't know. This challenge is called the Elevator Pitch Challenge, but with a twist, right? You're gonna have 10 seconds to think of a 1-minute motivational speech with the topic that I give you,
Okay.
okay? Are you ready for your topic?
I am definitely ready for my topic.
Okay, your topic is Butterfly Cafe. You have 10 seconds to think about a motivational speech for 1 minute.
If you want to live a great life, if you want to have a lot of energy, you got to eat the right thing in the right places. And it better be healthy. It better give you energy. Butterfly Cafe, energy, taste, fellowship, environment, everything you've ever wanted, right here, Hyper University.
I say that's great. Now, how did you do that in under 10 seconds? That's crazy to think about that, but you want to do a second one?
Yeah, give me something a little harder.
A little harder?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. Let's do Warnick, School of Natural Sciences. We'll go the whole name. 10, you have 10 seconds to think about what you're gonna say. 8, 7, 6, 5. You look like you already have the answer already. 3, 2, 1. Floor is yours.
One of the things that makes the world go round are scientists who uncover and discover the essence of life and living. And so if you really want to have quality in your life and live life at the highest order, you better know how this world was created and what makes it go. That's what happens, the Warnick School of Natural Sciences. And that's why you and I get to be closer to them and get to know more about them.
Everyone, one more time for Dr. Nido R. Qubein. One more time. So, on behalf of Point Blank family, we want to thank you all for supporting us. This year has been nothing short of a blessing. But if you think we will stop here, you are mistaken. Stay tuned for an exciting year next year, as we have a lot in store. But for now, you want to help me with this real quick, the last line?
We'll see you next time.